Everybody has mince pies at Christmas, so what I'm going to do is something a little bit different, which is mincemeat croissants using ready-made croissant dough. This dough comes in the chiller counter at supermarkets alongside the ready rolled pastries and ready-to-use pastry. You need to take the outside of the carton off and then press it along the seam, and then it should just pop out. Sometimes it's a little difficult to find the end, but once you've found it, then it should unroll quite easily. So I'm going to cut it into the triangles, and I find it's easier to use a pizza wheel rather than a knife, because a knife can drag along the dough, whereas the pizza wheel gives a nice smooth cut. I'm going to cut them in half lengthways, because otherwise they'll be very large croissants, which you might want if you were serving them for breakfast. Okay, so once they've all been cut, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use some ready-made mincemeat, and I'm going to spoon some onto the base of each triangle, and then I'm going to take it from the wide end and roll them up. And I'm going to rest them on a baking sheet that's been lined with a sheet of baking parchment, because sometimes the mincemeat will leak out of these. If you want to, you can flavour the mincemeat before you use it. You could stir in a tablespoon or two of brandy or rum, or you could add a little bit of grated apple to it. You need to roll them fairly tightly just to make sure they don't come undone during the cooking. And when you put them on the baking sheet, make sure they're not too close to each other, because they will hopefully rise up in the oven. Okay, so these are nearly done now. If you want to, you can brush them with some beaten egg before you bake them, but when they're baked, I'm going to dust some icing sugar over the top, so I don't think it's really necessary. These are now ready to go in the oven, and they will take about 12 to 15 minutes on 200 degrees centigrade, which is gas mark 6. So the croissants have been baking for just over 12 minutes, so I'm going to put some oven gloves on, and I can see that they're nice and golden. And I'm going to slide them onto a baking rack. You see that with the parchment on the baking sheet, they slide very easily. And then just before serving them, what I like to do is to dust some icing sugar over them. So quite a generous sifting. And I think these are best eaten warm. So those are now ready to put on a plate and serve.